Hey there VCE HHD students, my name's Andy, I'm a VCE Health and Human Development teacher. In this short video we're going to look at my top 5 rules to live by in VCE HHD. Before we dive into this video, just a reminder there's a range of different ways you can engage with the Health Resources Hub. Head to our YouTube channel, there's over 150 content videos, SAC and exam tips, and new videos are coming out each week during the school term this year. If you're on YouTube, you can subscribe with the button in the bottom corner of the video there, or you can just search for Health Resources Hub on YouTube, and by subscribing you'll get alerts to all of the new videos that are coming out. We've also got our website, hrh.net.au, where there's opportunities for teachers and students. And if you're a Unit 3 and 4 student, you can head there and scroll to the bottom of the page and you'll see there is a registration link for our free student newsletter, which is coming out twice a term this year with free SAC and exam resources. The most recent version came or was sent out in the last week. And so if you sign up there, you'll get sent all of the past versions as well. So just head to our website and scroll to the bottom there to register for that. You can also see our social media links there if you'd like to follow us and get alerts to our new videos and other opportunities, and also our email if you'd like to get in touch. So this video here is looking at my top 5 rules to live by in VCE HHD, and what I mean by that is that these are things that commonly come up in assessments in VCE HHD. So these are just some, guidelines or rules to keep in mind when you're answering questions related to these aspects of the course, because it's typically how questions that involve these aspects of the course are marked. So we'll go through and we'll have a chat about each of these. So number 1 is when you see the term health and well-being in a question, this is expecting you to link to one or more specific examples of the dimensions of health and well-being in your answer. And so that term, is probably the most common to pop up in a question throughout assessment in VCE HHD. And so for the 5 different dimensions there, the physical, social, mental, emotional, and spiritual dimensions, the more examples that you know, of these different dimensions, the more prepared you'll be, to be able to answer a question that includes that particular phrase, because if you know lots of examples, it gives you lots of flexibility, in being able to answer a question that includes health and well-being. So you should use the mark allocation to help guide how many dimensions you include in your response. Typically, there's a mark allocated for every link to a specific dimension, but it obviously depends on whether or not there is a case study or some stimulus material involved as well. So you need to make sure that you're practicing a range of questions to get a good sense of that. Rule number 2, if you see health status in a question, you're being expected to link to one or more specific health status indicators. So this is referencing the health status indicators such as life expectancy, prevalence, under 5 mortality, HAIL. There's obviously a wide range of different health status indicators, and similar to health and well-being, it's normally one mark is allocated to a specific link to a health status indicator, and so the mark allocation should help guide how many you include. But once again, if you're referencing some kind of stimulus material, or some other aspect of a case study, for example, that might influence how many health status indicators are required based on the mark allocation. So practice is your best way to get your head around that. So make sure you're always including as part of your answer, a demonstration that you understand what this health status indicator means. So it has to be a meaningful link. You can't just name them, obviously, and achieve the mark. You need to make sure that you're making a meaningful link to those health status indicators. Number 3, if you see that term burden of disease in a question, this is expecting you to link to one or more of the YLLs, YLDs, or DALYs, because they obviously make up, that measure of burden of disease. And so, once again, I would advise my students to look at the mark allocation. If a question is worth 2 marks, it's most likely that one of these, aspects of burden of disease would be sufficient in your answer, but if it's worth 3 or 4 marks, I'd be including both YLLs and YLDs, as part of your answer, or DALYs alternatively as well. And so once again, if you look at a range of different questions and mark allocations, it should help you to get a sense of how many of those to be including in your particular answer. Number 4, if you see the term health outcomes in a question, then you've got the option to either link to health and wellbeing dimensions or, health status indicators, or both, So that's similar to if a question is referring to just the term health or health impacts or how something might promote health, then it gives you the flexibility of linking to either the health and wellbeing dimensions or the health status indicators, or both, once again, depending on the mark allocation. So look out for those terms in the question also. Number 5 is more relevant to Unit 4 HHD, so don't stress if you haven't come across this term yet, but it's when you see human development in a question. That's expecting you to link to one or more aspects of the human development definition. And so you need to make sure that the links that you're making to these aspects of the definition are substantial and meaningful. Once again, you can't just include the phrases without specific links to, say, a case study or a concept. It needs to be a meaningful link. And you can see there I've included a couple of those different phrases there in italics from that definition to give you a sense of what we're talking about here when we're talking about human development. So once again, the mark allocation for the question should help guide how many of these links you should be making to different aspects of the human development definition. And so if it's something that you're wanting to practice, putting these 5 rules into action, in the next free student newsletter that I'll be sending out later this term, I'll give you some sample tasks that you can practice putting these 5 rules into action. So if you haven't signed up to that, head to our website, hoh.net.au, and scroll to the bottom and you can sign up to that free student newsletter and you'll get that later this term. So just a reminder, we've also got one more Unit 3 Area of Study 2 SAT preparation session coming up on April 28th. And so that's running online from 3 till 4:30. And if you sign up to that, you'll get sent a 50-mark practice SAC. And then on the day, I'll be running through the sample answers to that practice SAC. You'll get emailed a copy of those after the session. I'll go through a mark-by-mark breakdown, as well as give you some advice on how to structure your responses to ensure that you achieve full marks. And then I'll run through some common mistakes to avoid for this SAC in this area of study. So if you haven't signed up and you're interested, you can head to the link at the bottom of that flyer there, or just head to our website and you'll see there's a link towards the top of the page. Hopefully I'll see you there.